This is Amária Sweet with Mind Expressions, and I'm here again with Alex Spielman. And we'd like to do a recall on what's been going on energetically, geopolitically, and everything, and then go from there. So if you want to do a recall here.
Cool. All right. By the way, thank you, Amária, for having me back.
Absolutely.
It's always a wonderful pleasure to interact with you and the guests that will grace us with bringing them into allowing us to go into their living rooms and their phones and all over the place.
Right?
As this universe has many different ways of interaction. Uh, yeah, so I think the first thing I wanted to bring up was um, a few weeks ago, I was talking about how I was dealing with a recall movement here that has to do with basically removing the governor of New Jersey out of office due to his corruption and his blatant disregard of constitutional rights in the state. And so I wanted to keep you guys up to snuff on that. And so right now, what we're dealing with is bureaucratic, uh, the bureaucratics group that is known as the Division of Elections, who deals with all the paperwork, are right now slow walking things. They're trying to basically play the clock because we only have under 20 days to get really everything all said and done, assigned, approved, and everything like that. Um, and so you may be thinking, how in the world are you going to do a recall in 20 days? Doesn't it usually require signatures in person, notaries, stuff like that?
Right.
In this case, no, you don't. You don't need any of that stuff. And that's because we're basically using the executive orders the governor used against him. So we can do everything online, digitally, on your phone, no questions asked. Basically,
That's
you
awesome.
just as long as you're a registered voter in the state of New Jersey and you're on the voter rolls, most likely you're going to be able to sign this.
Wow.
Um, and
That's really cool.
we're going to, I think the number is just under 1.7 million signatures. But when you do regular in person, you know, you have to bring the books and you have to have people sign it and you have to drag people all out of their homes to a central spot. It takes a long time. That's why it normally gives you about a year to do things. But since everybody is like all locked down in COVID land, we can actually do everything in the comfort of your home. You could be in your pajamas for all you need, for all you want.
That
that's
might be a nice
that's how
experience.
um, we're bringing the democracy and the way of the republic to the people in that
That's awesome.
aspect. So people who have ever wanted to be interacted within civic matters can do that if they've ever been curious. So this is a fantastic way to kind of prove that. But kind of
Well,
goes
and it
back to
could be kind of a pioneering way to do it too. If you think about what you guys are doing, I mean, it could go to other states. That's really cool what you guys are doing. I like
well,
that.
that well, that's the cool thing about that is that the template we're using is very similar to what they're doing in California when it comes to them recalling Governor Newsom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've actually the Governor Newsom in California has been less sloppy with his executive orders, and I know that may not be exactly the most official way to really say these things, but it's probably the most honest because he doesn't have that whole signature and um, the signatures, the notaries, and all that other stuff that New Jersey did. So you actually have to be in person. You have to prove you are a citizen. You have to prove you are a voter. You have to prove all these things. A notary has to has to see that you signed this. They have to stamp it and approve it. You know,
So a little bit lengthier process, that's for sure.
well, that's the process we had to do first time we had to
Oh,
do it
is
with.
that
I'm going to do that the first time around.
That's good though. That's good to verify everybody to make sure, because I know that there's been a problem with non-legal people voting, or
Well,
they happen to be passed away, and
exactly.
Grandpa's still voting, and he's 200 years old.
I highly doubt that we're seeing a good chunk of people who are voting who are super centennials.
I know, right?
If we don't have the amount of super centennials should be pretty much what you can count on your hands for the most part. You're not going to have too many because most people don't live that long usually.
It's true.
So if you hear like, oh, he is 105 and he just voted for the first time.
Yeah, that would be kind of like, where's the red flag that we're going to be picking out again?
So let's say we get everything signed and, we finally get some reaction from the state. Well, let's say, and then we get all the signatures required. Well, once the state approves that every person there has been, a registered voter and is legally within the state, the governor at that point will be removed from office via petition.
That's awesome.
And then in that case, what would happen is that the lieutenant governor would take the governorship. Now, this is where it gets fascinating. The lieutenant governor has never filed for the primary.
Really?
So what that means is that if she doesn't file for the primary, we will not have either of them in the executive branch at the end of the year. You would have a totally new governor and a totally new administration.
Interesting.
So within that one little thing, you have a clean sweep of the state, because what you're looking at is the governor changing, but at the same time, you're also seeing the legislature change too. So you could see a totally new New Jersey. Okay, let's go with that. By January of 22.
Wow.
So
yeah, you guys have been really locked in there like rats in a cage. I mean, dang.
And so the reason so if anyone's asking, the reason why I can talk a lot about this stuff is because I actually am the man who's filing all this paperwork. I am the chairman of the recall committee. I'm dealing with interactions with the state. I'm dealing with my other committee members who are part of this. There are 3 of us, and what we're trying to do is just trying to create open transparency with the process, because obviously what happens is Trenton doesn't want to have this happen, and as all cabal stations, they do not like being removed from their positions when they are kind of comfortable.
It's time for them to be removed. We're in the Aquarian age now. Now we've got our light workers and everybody that's coming up. It's so exciting to have people in office and that have the ability to be in office like yourself. That I hope someday that you do make office, because you would be an amazing whatever in politics.
I have no idea.
People that are honest, that's what we need more of, is people that are doing the right thing for the people rather than seeing how deep they can get stuff put in their pockets for their own good.
I honestly, my first response is, let's say I get a bribe, I'm gonna be like, put that back. I don't know where that's been.
Right?
Hey, you have some of that? You have any of that hand sanitizer? I think you probably need to use it at that point, because
yeah, I don't want that dirty money.
Dirty money, dark money. I don't like it. Here's the funny thing: money is no object to me. I do not like the concept of money in the first place. I think it has been used in a very very derogatory way.
It's definitely time to change the system and do it the right way. Take care of people.
That's what the whole Great Awakening is all about. The awakening everybody up to how, everything that's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, the jig is up. And we got them all. So, you know what?
Well, segueing, thinking about, the recall and just all we've been talking about, what are your theories coming up in the next week? I mean, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of talk. What's going on? What do you think?
Well, that's the one thing about the alliance and the administration right now is that when they play poker, they have a damn good poker face. It's very hard to basically figure out what they're going to do up or down. But at the end of the day, the one thing you got to watch out for is known as a lot of us now have been calling it. We call it the Trump effect. And if you're not familiar with that, the Trump effect is basically when something happens to President Trump, and what occurs is that it's boomeranged twofold. So, for example, this is going to be an example. Stormy Daniels sues the president for damages, and when he sued him, right? Well, guess what happened? The case was thrown out, and the judge ordered Stormy Daniels to pay back Trump's damages because of him being inconvenienced with the lawsuit.
Karma's a bitch.
So you see how that's the Trump effect in action. And then you also have, for example, another one would be what happened with, and I love when Dave Chappelle called them this juicy Smollett. And you know how he had his whole act and song and dance with all those different things that happened. And
Right.
what happened? We find out that he basically staged the whole thing, and now we had congressmen involved, and it unraveled everything. It was supposed to be this simple job, and
Isn't there some information coming out about certain people in Gitmo and a certain person that didn't hang himself that happens to be alive?
You're talking about the stuff that Lynn Wood was talking about the other day. That man, geez, if you wanted a freaking roller coaster ride of emotions, I think you could think of anybody better than Lynn Wood. And I'm so glad that he's on the truth and liberty side of things. So what happened was on Twitter, Lynn Wood was basically going after people because they were going after him. He's basically outing two Supreme Court justices. He was going after the Chief Justice John Roberts because of what he supposedly did with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, which obviously he did not kill himself. We got to keep that meme running. But it sounds like he might not actually have they have not killed him at all, right. From what he is saying. From what we are figuring, from what we're kind of piecing together, he is still out and about. Now, this could be either he was distracted by dark forces, or he could have been distracted by Alliance as a humongous bargaining chip, and that was the funniest thing about Epstein in the first place, is just how he got his money, because when you deal with people with some form of finance, like a financier or a businessman, you can normally see where their foundations are. Usually it's somewhere in a garage, and they started selling books or something like Amazon. But right. Epstein kind of came out of nowhere. You don't know where he is until he was this multimillionaire.
True. So this should be interesting on what's going to be played out. Mm-hmm. Well, besides the 180 days that was requested, I should say politely, on SSP disclosure, or the military science, I guess, UFOs, the secret programs that have been going on, military abductions. I really hope all of that's there. And those of us that have had memories and have been recalling things, including myself, I really hope we can get our records. That'd be really interesting to see, because I've made the request a couple times from the Army, and they keep saying our records are burnt and the place burnt down. I'm sorry, the fire happened in 1973. I was born in 76, so they're lying. I mean, how many times is the place going to burn down?
Well, as many times as you say the check's in the mail, I guess.
I know, right? It's like,
Yeah.
sheesh. Somebody's blue darting in the mailroom. Good God.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, you got that. You have so you have a law that recently just took effect, which was the all hospitals and medical facilities have to be openly transparent with all of their care.
Good.
So you're not going to be. So let's say you're going to the hospital and you have to get, say, a triple bypass or something like that. They will tell you the cost of it up front.
Good.
There's no longer surprise billing, and all the medicine is going to be the cheapest possible. So we're looking at, most people are talking about, oh, we need to reform healthcare. Well, how about we just make it more transparent? I think
Right.
that's and we'll just let
Well, and affordable because there's so many treatments naturopathically that are being
Mhm.
blocked by the law because of Codex Alimentarius and
Mhm.
Agenda 21.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm
exactly.
saying those on air because, Codex, the thing about that, I believe it started in 97. And the crazy part about it is they're making things that are readily available, usable for the body that can actually improve your immune system. It
Mhm.
helps to reverse disease because you're helping with your epigenetics. When you can balance your body, and it's not a homeostatic state. According to Dr. John Bergman, he talks about how we've got to be regulating all the time because our
Mhm.
bodies are always changing and they're always healing themselves. Like we have a new liver every so many months, for instance, and each
Yep.
one of our body parts regenerates. And
Yep.
we've got that capability, yet pharma has been drugging people to death, putting things in foods that's killing the gut, which is the basis of creating serotonin for sleep. The COX-1 inhibitors that they have in your, for instance, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Aleve, aspirin, all of those actually inhibit the production of proteoglycan and what's the other one? Proteoglycan is the one that's the building block for your cartilage, your sinew, things like that. The other one is glutathione. You cannot produce glutathione in the gut with the pesticides and things, with the leaky gut.
Mhm.
But he actually shows you how to do that. But that's what Codex does, is it makes things that are good for you bad and illegal, and it makes